my name is Rebecca Chen, and I'm an attorney with Reddy Neumann P.C. Today, we want to go over decoding advanced parole documents. We've seen people misinterpret or misunderstand some of the dates on advanced parole documents, and sometimes that can lead to a pretty difficult situation of being stuck outside the U.S. without a valid advanced parole, or even inadvertently abandoning your pending I-485 adjustment of status application. So we wanted to review some examples in today's video to hopefully help people avoid those situations. So first up, this is an example of an EAD advanced parole combo card. USCIS's practice used to be that they would issue a combo card or combination card like this if you filed your I-765 and I-131 applications concurrently. They would issue a single card that acted as your employment authorization, and it would be notated at the bottom, serves as I-512 advanced parole. And if you have this card, then it acts as your advanced parole and your EAD. It's pretty straightforward. You can use it as an advanced parole to enter the US anytime before the expiration date on this card. So the combo card is definitely the preferred form of the advanced parole. USCIS used to always issue it this way. Sometimes they still do, but their more typical practice in the past year or so has been to separate out the adjudication of the I-765 and I-131 to where typically you will receive the EAD card faster within a few months of filing, and it is an EAD card only. So if the EAD card does not have this notation at the bottom, then you should not use it as an advanced parole travel document. So that's one important point. If it's an EAD card that does not have this notation, do not try to use it to travel internationally. It is an employment authorization document only. In those cases, the I-131 can remain pending for several more months. And then when it is approved, it is issued as a document like this. Sorry, it's not a great photo. We had to, of course, redact a lot of information. But when an I-131 is approved separately from an I-765, this is what the I-512 advanced parole looks like. It's issued as a full-page document printed on that kind of heavier green paper that I-797 approval notices are usually printed on. It will have the applicant's information at the top, their photo here. And when you receive this in the mail, this parole stamp space will be blank. So you would receive this document, and the important date really on this advanced parole document is this small date right here. Is the date that the advanced parole expires. It's the date before which you can use it to enter the US, but after this date, it is no longer valid as an advanced parole document. When you are using it for international travel, you would present it at the port of entry to the CBP officer, along with your I-485 receipt notice to show that that's the basis that your advanced parole was issued on. And then when you are admitted into the US, the CBP officer will stamp this space, this parole stamp space. It will list the port of entry, the date of entry, and then the officer will often kind of handwrite an annotation, such as AOS, meaning that that's the basis of the advanced parole, and DA. And then a lot of times they will handwrite a date. So here they've handwritten January 9th, 2021. What we see some confusion about is that some people inadvertently think that this has become the new date of validity for the advanced parole document. They think that their advanced parole has been extended until this date, which, you can see how they would assume that because it says that they're being paroled until this date. That is not the case. Or some people also misunderstand and think that they are being admitted into the US only for this amount of time, and that before January 9th, 2021, they need to exit the US or file something else in order to be authorized to remain in the US beyond this date. That also isn't true. The reason that for this date is that CBP just needs to put some kind of date there. This handwritten date is almost essentially pointless. You can, for the most part, ignore it because it doesn't control your status or your authorization to be in the US after you come in, and it doesn't change the expiration date of this advanced parole document. So that's why it's kind of useless, and don't be distracted by that date. Essentially, CBP just needs to put some end date for the parole. For adjustment of status applicants, when you're coming into the US, there isn't a definite end date for your authorization to be in the US. Your authorization to be in the US is based on your pending I-485 application. So as long as your I-485 application remains pending, you are authorized to be here in the US. But the processing time for the I-485 is indefinite. It's unknown, especially for nationals from India, whose priority dates have retrogressed. The I-485 can remain pending for years. So you are authorized to remain in the US for as long as your I-485 remains pending. They just put this date as sort of a placeholder. It is typically 1 year from the entry date. And they may be putting that because they assume an I-485 application that's pending should be approved within a year. If priority dates are current, that is typically the case. It is not the case for a lot of people whose country of birth is India, unfortunately. So don't be distracted by that date. It is essentially meaningless. You still need to consider this the date of expiration of this advanced parole document. So don't depart the US or try to use this to enter the US after this date. This printed date is still the date of expiration for this advanced parole document. This information is also kind of mirrored on the I-94 record that you may be used to looking up after you come into the US. If you were a non-immigrant status like H or L previously, you're probably used to checking your I-94 after every entry because that is important if you are in a non-immigrant status. If you're coming in on advanced parole, it's not quite as important because, like I said, the authorization to be in the US is just based on the pending I-485, which doesn't have a definite end date. It's just whenever the I-485 gets adjudicated. So again, CBP usually puts the admit until date as just exactly 1 year from the most recent entry date, just to have something to put there. But it does not mean you are out of status after this date. Yeah, for the most part, the I-94 record is no longer quite as important if you are coming in on advanced parole. It's still important to show that you had your most recent entry was a legal entry, but other than that, you don't need to worry about this admit until date. So the main takeaway is if you do have a standalone I-512L advanced parole document, go by this as your expiration date. You should not depart the US after this date unless you have the renewed advanced parole in hand, or unless you are departing the US in valid H or L status and plan to return to the US in valid H or L status. That is kind of the only exception. Leaving and coming back in valid H or L status would allow you to re-enter the US without an advanced parole and without abandoning the pending I-485 adjustment of status application. We hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, we encourage you to reach out to any of the attorneys here at Reddy Neumann P.C. Thank you.